Things started to go wrong for us when we moved from the big city to the country, and I had a hard time dealing with the change, and so I started sleeping on the couch, and Kimmy started getting angry, and very angry, and I had a hard time dealing with that anger, you know, and it felt like I was being sliced and not being able to live up to Kimmy's expectations, you know. So I kept sleeping on the couch.
Things started to go wrong when we moved. In order for me to pursue my career goals, and we left the big city that we'd both grown up in and went to the smaller area, but Timmy left everything. I had this work that I was going to. He left everything that was familiar to him in the larger city. And we just started to slowly disconnect from each other. And he withdrew and withdrew. And I got hurt. And then I really started to get very resentful, because Timmy was the one that wanted to make this move to begin with. And I just really started to get resentful, and the more resentful I got, the more quiet he got, and the more withdrawn he got. And it reached a point where, you know, his silence was the loudest thing in our home.
You've been reading Hold Me Tight and looking especially at Conversation 1, and I think I remember that you have a very particular name. You talked about getting caught in the protest polka, and that sometimes that protest polka would then move into something that looked more like flee and freeze. But I think you have a very particular name for your protest polka, don't you? What is your name that you came up with? I think it was you, Tim. What do you call it?
Tornado.
Tornado.
The tornado. Yeah.
So it's Tim and Kim's tornado that you get stuck in.
Yeah.
The TKT. Right. What we're trying to work on is meeting our tornado together as a team.
Hey.
Rather than seeing each other as enemy in the tornado. We had laughingly agreed that Timmy could be in charge of the Doppler system that monitored our tornado, and I would have a satellite. That meant that both of us may have a different perspective of what the tornado looks like or how long it's going to take to get there, and we had permission to do that because we were in charge of different systems of monitoring.
And it's very interesting to me, you're saying we can see it from different points of view, but we both agree that we're caught in this pattern called the tornado.
That's right.
So just let's pause for a minute here and make sure that we really know what the tornado looks like, right? What does your tornado look like? It starts, I think, with you feeling like you're disconnected.
Yes.
And then what would usually happen?
Shut down for me. It's complete closing down.
And I think you have an action that goes with that.
Yeah, I'm out of here, you know.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, and I'm gone.
And what does she do that triggers that? How does Kim move in the dance that triggers you doing this, I'm out of here?
Body language, there's the tone.
The tone.
On the voice, the body language.
And you hear?
I hear the tone on her voice, and
you pick
my
up.
senses just sense it. You know, like I was sharing with her earlier this morning, it's an automatic thing for my senses. You know, and
you're monitoring it all the time. Mm-hmm. And what do you pick up from her tone? That she's feeling
fearful. Angry. Actually, angry is the big one.
You pick up angry.
Yeah, angry.
And what you hear is that you're going to hear that she's disappointed in you. Yeah, that there's something wrong. You've done something wrong.
Yes.
She's going to get critical.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you do this.
And yeah, and I close up and I disappear. You know.
You actually called it something interesting this morning.
The igloo.
Yeah, but that's sort of at the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I when you disconnect from me and I try to pull him back in.
You're trying to pull him back in, but you probably sound angry while you're doing it.
Yes, and Timmy had pointed out to me this morning that I can actually withdraw and be critical all at the same time.
Because you're giving out those angry vibes.
Yes, and my words can sound snarky to him.
Snarky.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he feels like I'm nagging.
Nagging.
Yeah. And the other thing that Timmy said to me this morning that he's never really shared with me before is that he's got like a 1 to 10 gauge on his tornado system, right?
Okay.
Which I thought was really neat.
Yeah.
Can you?
Oh, it's a meter. And it picks up her anger, her fear, whatever it is she's feeling. And, well, especially with the anger, you know, and my senses tell me, my meter tells me on a scale of 0 to 10 where she is.
And
so
it's
when
sort of
it
how
hits,
dangerous this is going to be.
That's it. So when she hits 4, I know it's not that bad. But when it hits 7 and up, it's,
I'm out of here.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So if you, when you did that exercise in the book, the way your pattern would go would be, you would be saying something like, Tim, when I hear snarkiness in your voice, right, that's the cue for me. I'm out of here. Right?
snarkiness and just the tone in
Right.
her voice.
Right, I'm out of here.
Yep.
And then when he's out of there, the more I turn away and exit and get out of here, the more you, what do you do?
Feel hurt
And
either pursue
get
and
more
criticize
snarky,
it, yeah,
or sometimes,
or I also just disappear, gone.
right. And at the end of it, that leaves both of you feeling how?
Well, I'm totally alone. I'm isolated. I'm alone. I'm abandoned. I'm on my own.
And how do you feel in that situation?
The same way, with just self, by myself.
Just with you?
Yeah.
Right.
And questioning, trying to figure out what it is that I did wrong, and pretty much never figuring out what it is that I've done wrong.
Right. I'm disappointing her somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Inadequate, bottom line.
And the other interesting thing that Timmy has shared with me since we have begun to work on this conversation one is the deeper his meter goes, or the higher, like if his meter tells him that he's hurt me at a level of 9, then my access to him becomes even less, because he's gone like this, and then he's gone into an igloo, and then he's put the cover on the front of the igloo. So the distance, the more the hurt for me, the greater the distance in between us, and the higher level of pain for both of us.
Right, because the way this is set up, on some level he knows you're hurt,
Right.
but you're being snarky, so he sees you as dangerous, right? And
For him.
Yes, and the ironic thing about that is, the more hurt you get, the more he moves away.
Yes.
Right, that's awful. And I guess you just hear that it's dangerous, and you're going to hear more and more that there's something wrong with you, you're inadequate, and you just move away.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Keep myself safe.
You actually used, Tim, I'm trying to remember when we talked about this, you used an interesting word. You're a chef.
Yeah.
Right, and you used an interesting word that when you hear the snarkiness in her voice, what was it again? I can't.
Slice with a knife and
Right. So her anger is so huge for you. The effect of her anger is so huge, it sets up danger signals in your brain, and you actually feel like she's slicing you with a knife.
Yes.
Or that I could. If you engaged, that I could slice you with a knife. Right down to the core.
And in these moments, I don't even know if you guys can answer this question. What do you say to yourself about the relationship then?
I'm like, I've done it again. He's just like my father. I'm going to be invisible to the primary man of my life until I die. And then I'm like, I don't deserve this. I'm out of here. And I start to imagine that I'm leaving. It's horrible. It's horrible for me, Sue, you know, because Timmy and I were best friends and we adore each other, you know, and he knows even when I'm talking in a snarky manner or an angry manner, there's hurt in there.
He knows on some level there's hurt in there,
Oh, he
but
knows.
somehow the music that directs the dance is the danger and the anger and yeah.
For both of us.
Yeah.
And we just sort of spiral further and further away from each other, you know. Very often it's so bad for both of us that we just shut right out.
Right.
And then the next time we're into this situation again, we haven't resolved this one. And instead of my meter being at 2 for Timmy, it's instantly at 10.
Things just get more and more dangerous and you get more and more vigilant,
Yes.
right? And the cycle just gets faster and faster. And Tim, where does your mind go when this is going on? When you're in your igloo all shut down, where does your mind, what do you tell yourself? What is your
Totally protecting myself. I go in total protection mode and try to stay safe as possible.
You say to yourself, I've just got to protect myself.
Pretty much, you know, and I try to pick up what it is that I did wrong, you know, and
You say to yourself, what did I do wrong?
what is it? And majority of the times I'm not able to pick it off what it is, you know, that I did wrong. Or, yeah, I keep safe and I go into another room, you know, or change subject. That's one of my strategies is for staying safe is getting off topic. And getting off topic is one of my best strategies.
But do you ever go to the place where you just start to sort of give up on the relationship like Kim does? Or do you just get totally caught up with just thinking of hunkering down? And
I've wondered if we were meant to be as a couple, and then I know we are meant to be a couple, and it's just a lot of hard work we have to go through to get to the other side, you know, I believe.
right,
You know?
right. So the other night, this pattern that you've been talking about and that you've found all these incredible words for, right? And you've been so good at doing that. I think the other night you were saying that this came up, right?
Yeah, it came up.
So
It was a long, long day for us, and we didn't get home till like 6:45 or something. We hadn't even talked about supper. The minute we got in the door, Timmy said, well, I'm going to the dry cleaner, blah, blah, blah. And I just felt completely disconnected. So I said to him, okay, tornado watch. And I stood right in front of him, and I took his hand, one of his hands.
Yeah. As awkward as I felt, and I expressed it to her. I said, I'm feeling very awkward. Then she said, give me your other hand. And I went, no. And
So
we
then
held
there
the
we
other
are,
hand like
Face
this.
to face. We ignored the dogs, everything. It's like,
Everything,
okay, let's
yeah.
stay in here with this. We're fighting this tornado together, right?
and so show me, what did you do? What were you able to say to each other?
And we expressed our feelings with what we were going through. And she was able to express her, not a bad, what were the words?
When we come home and you immediately go off into your own space, I feel left out.
Yeah. What's that? Those were the words she said.
Yeah.
And I was able to understand where she was coming from.
And that she was trying to stop you guys going into the tornado.
Yeah.
Right, and so what did you say to her? Can you remember? Can you tell it to her?
I was able to say to you
Tell me.
that I'm running to go and leaving you. I don't remember the exact words.
You were skirting all
Yeah.
over the place. Well, I just have to go here, and I just have to go there.
I was nervous.
Right. and this is really uncomfortable. And I just kept holding you, and I said, come on, Timmy, we can fight this tornado together. Come on. Come on, my satellite dish is telling me, warning, warning, warning.
And my Doppler was saying the same thing,
So,
too, that it's approaching.
So you're saying, okay, okay, we're going to do this, right? And I said, okay. So when you go off on your own without first checking in with me and keeping our connection, I feel abandoned by you. And then you said to me, Timmy,
I don't remember.
What do you want to say right now, Tim? When she says this to you, I mean, normally what you would do here, if she was just a little bit snarkier, is you'd run, right?
Yes.
So maybe you can tell her that some part of you wants to run, but what?
I hear you, and I can understand what you're feeling and what you're going through. And I'm not leaving, and I'm not abandoning you.
And you know, and that what she's trying to do is stop you from getting caught in this tornado, right? Where you'd both feel so alone.
And I'm not going to let the tornado in.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's
we're hunkered down, eh?
Yeah.
We're a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're a darn good storm watcher team, eh?
You're really using Conversation 1, right, in the most incredible way. Do you feel, I mean, Kim did this. She said, uh-oh, tornado watch. This is one of these moments where I can get snarky and you usually go away, and then we just get stuck, and the snarkier I get, the more you go away, right? And do you feel like you could call that and say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure it would look like. What would it look like for you to call the tornado watch?
Pretty much the same. I have no problem identifying it and catching it. The problem I have is with the holding hands, you know?
Well, that might not be your style to start by holding hands.
There's something I don't know, leaving me feel vulnerable, or, you know? But I have no problems if I'm aware of it, you know?
So what would you be able to say to, what do you think you'd be able to say to Kim?
Tornadoes approaching, you know?
Once we grounded together and stayed connected, then we openly went off and did our own thing.
Yeah.
It's not like I have to sit on top of them for the whole night, you know?
No. And sometimes, you know, I think you won't be able to catch it immediately it's going on. Sometimes it'll do its thing, but even if you can go back afterwards and say, hey, you know what? That was a tornado, and it hit both of us. That's really different than saying, you know, you are always going off and leaving me alone, and, well,